Hello everyone and welcome to this video. I will be taking you through the online registration process of centralized admission process, which is also known as CAP for MBA CET 21. So as most of you are aware, the notification was released a few days back, and I'll be taking you through all the steps that you need to follow to complete the registration process. So let's get started, and we'll first have a look at the important dates. Now, in terms of important dates, firstly, the registration process is going to run till the 20th November up to 5 p.m. Now, don't wait for this deadline. Try to fill it as early as possible because you also need to get these documents that you upload verified through either the e-scrutiny or at the facilitation center. So there are two ways in which you can get your document verification done. The first one is e-scrutiny, where whatever documents that you scan and submit, they will be checked and verified in the online format. And the second is you can actually go to a facilitation center and get the document verification process done. So this document verification and confirmation process will go on till the 21st and again up to 5 p.m. Standard recommendation, don't wait for the deadline and try to get this done as early as possible. Because let's say you submit some documents and there is a problem, you might want to have some sort of a space with you in which you can get that document, maybe another document, or you need to submit some other proof that you have missed to ensure that there are no issues in the entire thing. Try to do it as early as possible. Now, you also have the display of the provisional merit list, which is again one of the most important steps in this entire thing. So once you're done with the registration and once your form gets verified, your candidature will be considered for the subsequent process. Now, what they will do first is they will provide a provisional merit list, and that is going to happen on the 22nd. Now, what this provisional merit list contains is that it will contain the names of all the people who are participating in this process. It will then indicate their candidature type, their scores in SSC, HSC, and so on. It will indicate their graduation status. It will indicate the percentile, the exam that they have taken, and so on. Now, in this merit list, if there are any problems, then you can submit the grievance, and that will happen from 23rd to 25th. Now, in case there are no problems, of course, you don't have to take any action at that point of time. But if you have submitted any grievance, then that thing will be resolved. And the display of the final merit list will then happen on the 26th. So till all these processes are done, there is no college selection or college preference that you have to give. So a lot of students were asking, what college will I get? The only answer to that question is that you wait for some time. You wait for the final merit list to be, once the final merit list is out, you will get to know what your rank is and will be in a better position to guide students at that point of time as to what is the realistic option that will work out for you. At the same time, display of seat matrix is also going to happen, which is also on the 26th. So for this entire activity, so this is also on the 26th. The seat matrix is essentially, it will tell you how many seats in each of the categories are present in each of the colleges. So for example, if you want to know how many seats are present at JBIMS for say a particular category. So in all India, how many seats are there? For open, how many seats are there? That information you will find in the seat matrix. Now on the main website, they have also given seat matrix of last year. So just in case you want to have a look at it, please go ahead and have a look at that. The online submission and confirmation of option form of CAP round 1. This is the stage where you actually put the college preferences. That is going to start from 27th and it will continue till 29th. Please note that these processes that happen, especially the CAP round 1 and then the allotment and the confirmation, that happens generally in very quick succession. So you will see that you don't have a lot of time. It's just 27 to 29. That's very limited time and you'll have to be present throughout this whole thing. So just ensure that you don't make any travel plans or something around this time. You have to be present so that you can cater to all the requirements at that point of time. Now, what you will have to do is the registration process begins by visiting the website. So you visit this website, the CET cell website is also something that you can do. And from there, you can select MBA MMS CET 21. Now, once you are on this page, the first thing that you'll have to do is the new candidate registration. Now, some of you might be wondering, why do I need to do new candidate registration? I've already taken CET. So whether you have taken CET or not, you still have to do new candidate registration because CET was one part of it and the CAP is another part of it. So you have to click on new candidate registration and I will show you what options you will get post that. On this website, you will see a lot of important documents and I suggest you have a look at them, starting with this one, which is the activity schedule. So the schedule that I showed you on the previous slide was taken from there. But I suggest you have a look at it, go through all the important details. As I said, the provisional matrix is also presented to you, and this is of last year. So if you go through it, it will just give you an idea as to how many seats in each of the colleges were there. Now the cutoff list, right now it is not very important, so I'm not going to discuss it, but I'll make a separate video and I'll show you how to go through that, the documents that are there and how to interpret that data that is given to you. There are some demo videos that they have given in terms of new registration, scrutiny mode, and reset password. They are in Marathi, so those of you who don't speak Marathi or don't understand Marathi, it might be a little difficult for you to follow. Even if you don't watch them, it's fine. If you want to just have a look at them, I think you can go ahead. So once you do the new candidate registration, it will ask you to enter your full name. Now, if you're applying on the basis of Maharashtra MBA CET, this is the instruction that you will see that if you've already appeared for the MBA CET and that is the score that you're going to submit, you have to ensure that you write the full name the way it was for your CET application, and that exact name has to be written. Okay. You have to select the country, you have to select state, district, mobile number, email ID, password, and then confirm password. For password, there are some specifications, so you might want to check those out as well. Now, once you do this and click on register, you will get an OTP on your mobile number and you have to then do the completion process. So you come back to this page, you enter the OTP. And once you enter the OTP, you will get your application number, which will be used for further rounds. So you have to ensure that you note it down. Anyway, you get an SMS which tells you that, okay, this is your application ID. It's a good idea to just write it somewhere and make a note of the password that you have entered here. Now, before you start and once you log in now, the first thing that you will have to do is decide the scrutiny. Now, I mentioned about it a couple of minutes back, but what scrutiny is essentially where you do the document verification. Do you do it in completely online format or do you go to a facilitation center, also called FC, and there you do the document verification? So you can choose either of them. There is no preference as such that you need to have. I think if you have a facilitation center close to your house, I think it's a good idea to just get it done at the facilitation center because it's an in-person interaction. But if the FC is very far from your place, the good idea to then would be to have the e-scrutiny, where you basically scan and upload the documents, and then somebody at the other end, of course, goes through those documents, and then they do the verification of it. Okay. So you first decide what the scrutiny format is going to be. Is it going to be e-scrutiny or the online scrutiny, or is it going to be the facilitation center scrutiny? Now, once you have decided that, it will then take you to this particular dashboard. Now, on this dashboard, when you log in for the first time, this step 1, you will see that it is automatically complete because that is how you started. You entered the registration details, and that is why this process will be complete. Whereas you will see the rest of the steps from step 2 to step 8, all of them incomplete when you log in for the first time. Now here, step 2 is fill CET details, and then you have the type of candidature, the type or the home university details, filling category and PWD details, qualification, personal details, and uploading photo with signature. So this is pretty standard as a process. So you don't have, there are no difficulties as such that you will typically face if you have all the documents with you. So let's go through all the steps. So the first thing is, of course, the filling of CET details. Now, at this step, if you have appeared for CET, of course, you will select yes. And once you select yes, it will ask you to put your roll number and the registration number. So you enter those two things. And in case you are somebody who has not appeared for CET, maybe you are an outside Maharashtra student and wanting to get your admission done on the basis of your CMAT score or let's say your CAT score. In that case, you can select no, as I have not appeared for MBA CET, but I still want to try. Now, if you have appeared, of course, you should select yes, put your roll number, registration number, and then it will ask you this question: have you appeared for CAT or CMAT valid for admission during the academic year 21-20? So here, if you select yes, it will then ask you to select the name of the exam. So through this drop down, you can do that selection. And once you do the selection, you'll have to put the roll number, percentile, and the total score. So some important instructions here: candidates applying on the basis of CMAT need to enter their roll number as per their CMAT scorecard, and the system will fetch the CMAT details automatically. Candidates applying on the basis of CAT need to enter their CAT details exactly as per their scorecard. So you have to decide whether you want to submit the scores or not, depending on whether you have it or not in the first place. And even if you have it, you might or might not want to submit it. Okay, so take a call whether you want to submit it or not, depending on if you look at all the past cutoffs, etc. You then get to know what kind of seat will I get. Will I get a state seat or an all India seat? So what kind of score submission makes sense? If you want, of course, you can just submit it. It's not going to be a big problem if you submit two scores. Okay. So once you're done with this, you can click on verify and save. Now, what it will do post this is that it will show you, as in the continuation of this entire thing, is that once your candidate name that you have submitted, it matches with what you had given in the MBA CT21. It will show you 1, which means that it's a match. But if there is a mismatch, it will indicate 0. So 0 means no match and 1 means match. So the name that you have entered will appear here, followed by your name, registration number, your roll number, etc. And then it will display your CET score with CET percentile. Okay. Nothing, no action is to be taken as such. You just have to do proceed to next step once you see your score and percentile. Now, after this comes a very important step of this whole exercise, which is to put your, this is step 3, which is filling type of candidature details. Okay, so this type is absolutely important. And for this, you should definitely go through the definition very clearly of all the types. So for example, if I want to have a look at this, let me read it word by word. So candidate passing HSC or passing diploma in engineering, technology or pharmacy and so on, qualifying examination from a recognized institution in Maharashtra state. Candidate who is either domicile of Maharashtra and or is born in Maharashtra. So see what definition you fit into, right? So whether it is type A or type B or type C. Today, somebody asked me about their graduation and their type, right? So your graduation stream and the type. So if you've done commerce, it has got nothing to do with your type ABC, right? So your commerce or science or engineering, that has got nothing to do with your type. Where you have done that, where you have done your graduation, where you were born, whether you have a domicile certificate or not, those are the things that will determine what is the candidate type that you're going to have. For example, Maharashtra state candidate type B. A candidate who does not fall in type A, which means that if you are not fitting this exact definition that they have given for type A, if you are not fitting this, but who or whose father or mother, meaning you or your father or your mother, if they have domicile of Maharashtra and you possess the domicile certificate, then you become type B. So I suggest that you go through each of these types to understand where exactly you fit in. So, for example, type C, type D, type E, there are a whole lot of things. And if you don't fit into any of those, then it becomes outside Maharashtra state. So, it does not satisfy type A, B, C, D, E, and having nationality are eligible under this category. So, if you don't fit into any of these definitions of Maharashtra state candidate, then you are considered outside Maharashtra state. Then there is further categories, which is, or further types rather. So you start with J&K Prime Minister Special Scholarship. You have foreign nationals or foreign students. You have J&K migrant candidates. You have foreign nationals. You have NRI candidature, person of Indian origin, children of Indian workers in Gulf countries, Northeastern Union territories, and so on. So see where exactly you fit in and select accordingly. Okay, so this is the place which is very, very important. So please make sure that you make the right selection at this point of time. The next thing is filling type or home university. So instead of type, this is essentially home university because type anyway will get picked from what you have submitted on the previous step. So since I had selected Maharashtra state type A, it will display the type that you have selected in the previous step. Now after this, you have to indicate where you have passed. So select the district from which candidates passing HSC or passing diploma or technology or pharmacy, and select district from which candidate has passed or appeared for graduation. So this is where you have done your HSC from, and this is where you have done your graduation from. Now, what happens once you make this selection? So there are drop downs and there are limited options there. And once you make that selection, your home university will get automatically picked up. So you don't enter it anywhere. You select the districts and automatically it picks the home university. Okay? So here, for example, I've made selection as Nashik, but the home university that it has picked is Savitribai Phule, Pune University. As your candidature is type A, who is either domicile of Maharashtra and is or born in Maharashtra, required to submit any of the given documents. Now, based on what type you have selected, you might have selected, let's say, type E or some other type, maybe outside Maharashtra. It will ask you for some documents. So here, for example, since I've selected type A, it is asking me to submit any of these three. So I can either select or submit my domicile certificate, my birth certificate, and again, place of birth, right? Domicile in the state of Maharashtra. So that becomes an important thing to determine what is the type, or the school living certificate, which is indicating the place of birth in Maharashtra. So similarly, for whatever type that you have chosen in the previous step, it will ask you to submit a particular document to show that, okay, you belong to that particular type. You can click on that. The document upload won't happen immediately. So you'll have to complete a lot of steps to get there. You make the selection and click on save and proceed. Now, once you do this, you reach the next step, which is filling category. And as you keep completing these steps in the main dashboard, you will see that those particular steps are becoming green in color and it will indicate complete and so on. Unless you complete a step, you can't essentially move to the next step. Now we are on step 5, which is filling category for the PWD details. So here, the first question itself is, do you belong to general or reserve category? So if you put general, there are no further questioning. The next question is, do you belong to EWS or not, which has yes or no option. Now, if you select reserve category here, right, it will ask you to indicate what category it is. And then there are category specific documents, and they have already given on the main website, you'll have those pro forma in which it has to be submitted. So you can go through that. And if you have selected reserve, select the appropriate category and keep all the documents ready with you. So if you select a particular category, for example, you might be required to submit the category certificate, first of all, the validity certificate, and the non-creamy layer certificate, for example, right? So you'll have to keep those documents ready with you before you start filling the form. For EWS, again, there are three options that you select, that you get rather. If you select, let's say, yes here, it will ask you whether you already have the certificate, whether you have applied and you have not received it, and the third one is it's not available. Okay, so you'll have to select the appropriate option, and that is what you will have to do. Okay, so do you belong to EWS? Right now I've selected no. If you select yes, you will see more options. Person with disabilities, here you will have to select yes, no, depending on whether you fall in that category. And if you select yes, you'll also have to indicate what type of disability it is. There are some options that are given in the drop down. Now here you will see some options based on the selections that you have made here. So based on what selections you have made for category details and the PWD details, it will ask you to upload and select documents. Okay. So certificate of Indian nationality, living certificate, passport, birth certificate. So I can submit any of these. So I can decide which one I want to submit. If you have selected category, you will see more options here. Okay. So make sure that you do the correct selection at this point of time. The next step, which is step 6, is filling the qualification details. Now, this is your 10th, 12th, which is SSC and HSC. Those are the subject marks that you have got that you have to put here. For SSC, the first thing is SSC aggregate, which is total of all the subjects that you see on your mark sheet. Then SSC mathematics, SSC science, SSC English. And then for your 12th or HSC or diploma, you have to take the aggregate. So marks obtained and marks out of. So this part of it, the percentage part of it, gets auto calculated. So you just have to enter the marks obtained and marks out of. Okay. They have given an instruction here that the candidates who have not appeared in science and mathematics at SSC shall enter marks obtained and marks out of as 0. Okay, so follow that depending on what applies to you. Now, within qualification, next thing is your graduation details. So the first thing is selecting the graduation faculty. There are quite a few options in the drop down. The graduation university, Here, there are some options such as autonomous or deemed to be university, etc. So make sure that you do the appropriate selection. If your university name doesn't feature anywhere and it is not even say a deemed to be university, etc., you can just put other, and then it will give you an additional field to put the actual name of the university. The place of passing, so you'll have to enter that accordingly. Then graduation type, full time is what I've selected. Passing year you can enter. Status, if you have already completed, then you will say passed. If you're not, then you will say appearing. And graduation marks type, percentage or CGPA. So the good thing is in percentage, you just put marks obtained and marks out of, and it will auto calculate what the percentage is. For CGPA, it gives a similar option where it asks you what is the maximum CGPA and what is your obtained CGPA. The next step is filling the personal details. Now, what it will do is it will already fill these two, right? So it will fetch the name, or rather, the first one will be auto filled. The second you will have to enter. So here, the first thing, full name fetch from Maharashtra MBA CT data. If you have not taken it, of course, it will not show you that. The candidate full name entered for CAP process. Okay, so you'll have to ensure that your name that you are entering, please enter your name as per name in CT. Other candidates can enter the name as per their HSC certificate. So those of you who have not taken CT and maybe applying through your CMAT score, then you will have to fill this form. And while filling the form, you can enter it the way it appears on the HSC certificate. You can enter mother's name, followed by you'll have to enter some personal details like date of birth, gender, confirmation of that, the orphan status, annual family income, religion, mother tongue, and minority, and so on. So here you will select the income range. There are quite a few options there as well. In religion and mother tongue, you will select the appropriate one. Do you belong to a minority? If you belong to, then you have to select yes, after which it will ask you what kind of minority it is, whether it is the religious minority or linguistic minority or both. So you can select the appropriate thing. So here, post this, you will have the permanent address. You can select what region it is it rural or urban? You enter the address, state, district, taluka, village, and PIN. The mobile number will get auto-populated. If you want, you can enter an alternate mobile number. The email ID will again be auto-populated. This is where again it is very different from other exams or processes. You have to upload photo with signature. So far, I think whatever exams that you must have taken, you would have uploaded your normal JPG. But here you need to take a photo and there are some specifications given. Please have a look at these. And what you need to do is you need to have your photo and below that you need to put your signature, put it together and then upload that. Okay, so go through the instructions. So it's a very simple thing. It won't take you a lot of time to do it. Maybe just simply using Paint or trying to do it in PowerPoint, I think should be sufficient as long as you have your signature and your photo with, right? So once you do this, you will have to upload that thing at this particular point. So you can upload JPG, GIF, or PNG. So there's one thing that I want to point out at this stage, that this particular form has a glitch. I think it's here exactly because though I had not uploaded my photo, it still showed that I have completed that step. Okay, so there is a small glitch here. So just make sure that you upload your photo, you are able to see it properly, and then only you have completed the process. So just be a little careful about that glitch that I have noticed. Then you reach the step 9. Okay, now this is where the application fees payment will happen. But please note that if you've already taken seat, okay, so candidates who have registered for the Maharashtra CET are not required to pay any fees. Okay, so if you have taken CET, you are not supposed to pay any fees. That particular step, automatically it will show complete. So when you start the process itself, it will show that you have completed this step simply because you had taken or registered for CET. However, other candidates for obtained score which is valid for this, maybe you're submitting your CAT score or CMAT score and you have not registered for CET, then you are required to pay the fees as per this state. So general category 1000, reserved is 800, but only for Maharashtra state. And if you're then NRI, OCI, PIO, etc., that is 5000. Okay. So for those of you who have taken CET or registered for CET, no payment to be done. It will show you auto completed. Whereas those of you who are registering for the process and submitting only your maybe CAT or CMAT scores, then you will have to make the payment. Then comes the next part, which is uploading documents. So the upload documents part, it will show you your application ID at this place. So it will say upload documents for this particular ID. And then it will give you a list of all the documents that you're supposed to upload. So based on the entire form, whatever selections that you have made previously, it will give you a list of documents that you're supposed to upload. So for example, the selection that I had done, it is asking me to submit my statement of marks for 10th, 12th, then college living or transfer certificate after passing qualifying, which is an optional field, the Indian passport issued in the name of the candidate, the domicile certificate, and the graduation mark sheet. So what I'll do is if I've completed my forms so far, I will upload all the scanned copies of these documents using the select file option. Okay. I will upload this, and once I'm done with all the upload, I will select submit. Now, once you do this, you will reach this particular screen wherein it will show you that you have completed all the processes, right? And the only thing that remains is the last one, which is application form confirmation status at FC. Now, if you have selected e-scrutiny, you have submitted the documents. Somebody in their office is going through the documents that you have uploaded. And if all the things are matching, they will just verify it. If there is any problem, you will get to know what that problem is. And then maybe you'll have to re-upload that particular document. So what happens is, let's say you have completed your form and for some reason you want to make a change, right? Your application form is completed and forwarded to e-scrutiny officer. To make changes, you'll have to unlock your application form. So even that functionality has been given to you. But I would suggest that before you make the submission, it's always a good idea to just completely go through the form and ensure that you have filled all the right data. Now you have selected, you've done with the entire thing, you've submitted all the documents, etc. The person at the FC will go through it, and if everything is okay, you will see a message. You will also get an SMS with confirmation or a mail with confirmation, which will say that you have completed the entire thing. And if everything is done, you will also see finally this thing, the last step, in green color, and it will say complete. Till that point, your process is not done. Okay. So now whether you want to do e-scrutiny or whether you want to go to an FC and do it, it's completely up to you. You can choose any of them depending on your preference, but make sure that you do this as early as possible and don't wait for the deadline. Okay. So that is the entire overview of this particular process. I understand that you might have some questions. In case you have any queries, you can leave them in the comment section and I will try to answer them at the earliest. I wish you guys all the best. Make sure that you fill this form completely and carefully. And I'll make a separate video and show you how to utilize those documents that you see in terms of the cap round 1 and 2 cutoff of last year, the seat matrix that you see there. And once the final merit list is out, you'll be in a position to sort of understand what colleges you will get. Okay. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this video has helped you guys. And in case you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll try and get back as early as possible. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. So happy to help in whatever way possible. So thank you so much for joining. I'll see you in the next one.